The landlord does not have the right to cut light. He does not have the right to restrict water. Then why is he the owner? And why is the person possessing a house, the tenant, having more power than the landlord?
Okay, thank you, Darasimi. I would like to let us know that there's a difference between exclusive possession and there's something we call absolute ownership. A landlord is the absolute owner of the property because the moment a tenant leaves the property, the rights of the property reverses back to the landlord. There's something we call reversionary interest. So the moment a tenant pays for the property, for the rent, pays the rent of the property, the tenant now has something we call exclusive possession, possesses that property. The property becomes his at that point in time, but the owner of the property is still the landlord. So until the tenant moves out from the property, the landlord, the tenant enjoys exclusive possession of that property, but the landlord is still the absolute owner of the property. Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand, but I don't also want us to leave out our Yoruba speaking audience. So nǹkan tá à ń sọ látàrọ̀ ni wípé torí àwọn ìwà tó yẹ pé Yorùbá ni wọ́n gbọ́ èdè Yorùbá. Onílé tó kọ́lé lóòótọ́ òun ló nílé ẹ̀, owó ẹ̀ ló fi kọ́lé. Ṣùgbọ́n ọjọ́ tó bá ti gba tenant sílé, tí tenant dẹ̀ ti sanwó lé, àtọjọ́ yẹn kó nílé gan kó tó lè wọlé, ó ní láti tọrọ permission àbí? Wọ́n ní ó ní láti gbàyè lọ́wọ́ tenant. So fẹ́yìn onílé tẹ̀ ń gbọ́ wa, ẹ máa wọ pé kí ni wọ́n ń sọ, àwa amòfin mẹ́ta là ń sọ̀rọ̀, àmọ́ nǹkan tá à ń sọ. Ọjọ́ tẹ́ bá ti gba owó lọ́wọ́ ẹni tẹ́ gbà sílé, díẹ̀ bí ipò ti dọ̀gá láwọn ọ̀nà kan ó ti dọ̀gá. Ẹ lè wọnú ilé yẹn lọ láì tọrọ àṣẹ lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀. Ẹ lè pa iná, ẹ lè pa omi, ẹ lè tilẹ̀kùn tọ́ílẹ̀tì pa pé kò nílò tọ́ílẹ̀tì. Tó bá yẹ pé irú ayálégbé bẹ́ẹ̀ ó gbọ́n tá à ń sọ báyìí, kọ́lọ̀ máa jẹ́ kó nílé kó fojú ba ilé ẹjọ́ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ilé tó fowó ara ẹ̀ kọ́. Ẹ wá jẹ́ ká tẹ̀síwájú, ẹ má yẹ ká dúró ń bẹ̀. Oyíndàmọ́lá, ó tún ní ìbéèrè kan tí mo fẹ́ béèrè tí mo mọ̀ pé àwọn èèyàn wa wọ́n á fẹ́ láti gbọ́. Tó bá jẹ́ wípé ẹni tó nílé ó láwọn nǹkan kan tí kò fẹ́ kí tenant ṣe, torí gbogbo bá a ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ látàárọ̀ ó jẹ́ kó máa dàbí wípé tenant lágbára ju onílé lọ. Tó bá láwọn nǹkan kan tẹ́ni tó nílé tí kò fẹ́ kí tenant ṣe, bóyá lágbájá ti wá yálé lọ́wọ́ mi o, kó tó yálé lọ́wọ́ mi kò sọ fún mi pé pastor lòun, ìgbà tó gbalé tán ó ti sọ lé di church. Ẹlòmíì á gbalé lọ́wọ́ onílé, á kó ìgbọ́ títí wájú ta, á sọ ilé tó yá kó fẹ́ máa gbé, á sọ dibi tó ti ń ta ọjà. Kí ni onílé wa lè ṣe láti make sure pé irú nǹkan báyìí kò ṣẹlẹ̀?
Okay, ẹ ṣé olóòtú. Nǹkan tí onílé máa ṣe ní irú ìgbà ẹni pé wọ́n máa mú àwọn òfin. Nígbà tí ẹni tó fẹ́ yálé tó bá wá tó fẹ́ sọ pé òun fẹ́ gbalé ní ọwọ́ onílé, ìgbà yìí ló máa wá tó wá mú fi pé òkè o, nǹkan bílébílé lè fẹ́ fi lé ṣe, agreement máa wà lórí nǹkan tó fẹ́ fi lé ṣe.
Láti bẹ̀rẹ̀.
Yes, from the start. So they will agree on what's called the use. There's something called covenant to use. Nǹkan tó fẹ́ fi lé ṣe, bó ṣe la fẹ́ fi máa gbé àbí a fẹ́ fi máa ta ọjà. So ó máa wà nínú agreement yẹn.
Wọ́n á ti kọ sílẹ̀.
Wọ́n á ti spell out nínú agreement yẹn pé òkè nǹkan bílébílé la fẹ́ fi lé ṣe o. So in a situation whereby the tenant now breaks such agreements, okay, let's say by the time you are renting out property, you tell the landlord that okay, this is for a residential purpose, but later on ó wá lọ fi ṣe church àbí ó lọ sọ pé okay òun fẹ́ máa fi ṣe ibi tó ń fi máa ta ọtí, òun fẹ́ fi máa ta ọjà. Now you've breaking a covenant, you've breaking the agreement, so the landlord has the right at that particular time to say okay òun fẹ́ lé kúrò ní ilé òun torí ó ti rú òfin. Ṣó yẹ bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. So ìgbà yẹn landlord ló sọ pé òun fẹ́ lé ẹ jáde. So but even if the landlord wants to evict you at that particular time, he still has to follow rules.
Thank you very much.
Do you understand?
We are still going to get there. Now, Lawyer Ann, I'm sure you are still with us. Thank you very much. Now, let us look at a situation where the rent of someone has expired.
Okay.
Maybe he or she rented a house for 12 months.
Okay.
The rent has expired. He refuses to pay a new rent and also refuses to pack out of the house. So what options are available for the landlord under the law? What does he do?
All right, thank you very much. The options available. Now, this is it. Even if a tenant actually decide not to pay his or her rent, the tenant still has that right to stay.
No, please. Are you very
No,
sure?
Yeah, the tenant still has that right to stay,
Wow.
except the landlord does the needful by going to courts. And now it goes by it's there is a procedure. Now this is what happened, because now we have a yearly tenancy, we have monthly, and we have quarterly. That's when you talk of yearly tenancy, that's 1 year. They will issue you a 6 months notice to quit, and also quarterly, they will issue you a 1 month notice to quit, and also a 1 month tenancy, they issue you a 1 month notice to quit. So at this when the landlord issues the person a maybe 12 months, issues a 6 months notice to quit, and the tenant still refuse to leave that premises, so the landlord will still issue another 7 days notice ownership to recover possession. And if the tenant still refuses to leave, that means the landlord still needs the courts to evict the tenants.
Thank you very much. Fún àǹfààní àwọn èèyàn wa tí wọ́n jẹ́ pé Yorùbá ni a gbọ́, nǹkan tẹ́nì kejì mi náà sọ, nǹkan tí mo bí léèrè béèrè tó ṣe pàtàkì pé tá a bá gbàyàn sílé lẹ́yìn tí owó ilé ẹ̀ tó ti tán, kò kó kúrò nílé, kò dẹ̀ sanwó tuntun náà, ó kàn ń gbé nínú ilé yẹn lọ, kí la lè ṣe? Òfin sọ wípé irú landlord bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ lè lé tenant yẹn o, ẹ lè lọ síbẹ̀ kẹ́ lọ kẹ́rù ẹ̀, tẹ́ bá ti fọwọ́ kẹ́rù ẹ̀, ẹ ti ṣẹ̀, ẹ ti jalè. Tí landlord bá wọnúlé tenant tó bá lọ, kó jẹ́ pé 5 naira ní landlord yẹn mú jáde, tenant yẹn lè sọ pé 1 million ló ń kó sínú ilé, kò sọ́ṣẹ́ tẹ́lẹ̀ fi wẹ̀ mọ́. Òfin máa sọ wípé tenant ni. Èèyàn máa wá rò wípé ṣe bó jẹ mí lówó ilé kò kan òfin o, bó jẹ yín lówó ilé kò kan òfin, tenant yín náà sì ni. Ó dáa, tenant yìí jẹ mí lówó, báwo wá ni mo ṣe fẹ́ ṣe? Ìkejì mi wá sọ pé ó ní nǹkan mẹ́ta pàtàkì tẹ́ ẹ máa ṣe, ẹ máa fetí bá wa lọ. Nǹkan àkọ́kọ́ ni pé ẹ máa fún ní ìwé kan tá à ń pè ní 6 months quit notice. Ẹ máa fún níwèé pé láàrin oṣù 6 mo fẹ́ kó jáde nínú ilé mi. Ṣùgbọ́n àwọn tenant mi wà tẹ́ pé olórí kunkun ni wọ́n, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn pọ̀, à ń bá wọn pàdé lójoojúmọ́. Títí tí oṣù 6 yìí ṣe máa pé kò ní kúrò nílé, kò dẹ̀ tún ní sanwó ilé. Òfin tún wá sọ wípé landlord bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ tún ti ní agbára tàbí àṣẹ láti lé jáde, ẹ lè dẹrù ẹ̀ síta. Ẹ tún wá máa fún ní ìwé kejì tá à ń pè ní 7 days notice of owner's intention to recover possession. Ẹ má wo bó ṣe gùn tó, tẹ́ bá ti ní lọ́ọ̀yà ẹ sọ fún, ó mọ bóyá máa bá yín ṣe. Ìyẹn ni pé láàrin ọjọ́ 7 tó o bá kó jáde kúrò nínú ilé mi, ó fojú ba ilé ẹjọ́. So lẹ́yìn ìwé kejì yìí, òfin wá sọ pé tírú tenant ẹ tó bá tún wá ṣorí kunkun, ẹ wá máa ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wá lọ sílé ẹjọ́. Adájọ́ gangan ló wá ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa fún yín ní ìdájọ́ wípé kó jáde. Kò náà ṣe pádájọ́ máa fún yín ní ìdájọ́ nìkan, wọ́n á tún wọ́n á rán officers láti court tó máa tẹ̀lé yín lọ, tán máa lọ kó ẹrù ẹ̀. So bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ló ṣe jẹ́. Kó tó di pé a tẹ̀síwájú, ẹ jẹ́ ká lo bí ìṣẹ́jú kan àbí méjì ká sáré sinmi lókè lọ́hùn, à ń bọ̀. Issues or those of us that are landlords and you are currently listening to Oxygen 96.9 FM, you can call us on 07047003969. Let me take it again. 07047002969. Àní fún àǹfààní ẹ̀yin ará ilé tẹ́ fẹ́ pè wá, ìwọ tí landlord ẹ ti ń yọ ẹ́ lẹ́nu, tàbí ìwọ tó ní tenant olórí kunkun, tẹ́ bá fẹ́ béèrè ìbéèrè, ẹlòmíà sọ pé owó lọ́ọ̀yà làwọn ò ní, lọ́ọ̀yà ọ̀fẹ́, mo ti kó wọn wá sórí ètò, wọ́n pọ̀, wọ́n dẹ̀ mọ nǹkan tí wọ́n ń ṣe. Ẹ pè wá sórí 07047003969. So I think while we are waiting for our people to be in touch, we can continue. Mizan,
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Barrister Damola,
Yes.
there's a very important question I would like to ask you, and I think the problem that landlords face a lot of time is, we've been telling them since morning that they cannot take matters into their own hands. They have to like approach the courts. But they say for you to even get to court, you have to pay a lot of money. You need to get a lawyer. So imagine mo gbàyàn sílé, pẹ̀lú inú rẹ̀ mi mo gbàyàn sílé, ó wá di ìgbà tí mo fẹ́ kókó jáde, ẹ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń sọ pé kí n mórí lé ilé ẹjọ́. Owó ni lọ́ọ̀yà gbà o. A tún wá gba ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ time, ìgbà mi ò lè gba oṣù 3, oṣù 4, oṣù 5. So fún irú àwọn tenant bẹ́ẹ̀, irú àwọn landlord bẹ́ẹ̀, kí ni advice tẹ́ni?
Okay, thank you, Darasimi. I actually understand the landlord's frustration on the fact that the court process is expensive, get the lawyer is expensive, and then the time and the process, the court process. So, but the law is there to protect, to prevent bloodshed or to prevent violence, to prevent maybe landlords and tenants having issues every time. So, for a landlord that knows what he's doing and is smart, if you have a lawyer that wants to, draft a tenancy agreement for you, you can maybe reach a conclusion with the tenants. Instead of the usual 6 months notice, you can agree with a shorter notice, whereby you agree with the tenants that if in such a way I want to evict you, it's just 1 month that will give instead of the usual 6 months. And if the tenants can agree to it, then you don't have an issue. So it will reduce the number of months you have to wait for the tenants to leave your house, and it will also reduce maybe your stress on waiting for for a tenant to pay up and all. Since you're just giving them a month's notice, so you know that it's just 1 month, not the usual 6 months.
Ẹ jẹ́ ká sọ báyìí fún àǹfààní àwọn èèyàn wa tó yẹ pé èdè Yorùbá náà fi ń tẹ̀lé wa. Ìtẹ́nìkejì mi ń sọ fún mi ni wípé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ gbà làwọn ayálégbé tá à ń pè ní tenant wọ́n máa ń ṣe àṣìṣe, wọ́n máa ń sọ pé mo rántí ọjọ́ kan tá a fẹ́ lé ẹnìkan kúrò nílé ibì kan, wọ́n á sọ pé fún òun ní 6 months, ṣe bí òfin sọ wípé ó yẹ ká fún òun ní 6 months. Nǹkan tẹ́nìkejì mi ń sọ sí ni wípé kò kí ń ṣe gbogbo ògbà ní ayálégbé ó lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ sí 6 months kó tó di pé wọ́n á lé kúrò nílé o. Tó bá ti jẹ́ pé ìgbà tó wá gbalé ẹ ti jọ kọ́ sínú agreement pẹ̀lú landlord ẹ pé ìjọ tẹ bá ti fẹ́ lé mi o, kódà ẹ lè fún mi ní 1 week, tẹ bá ti lè jọ kọ́ sínú tenancy agreement tó dẹ̀ sign, o lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ sí 6 months. So wọ́n ní torí ìbéèrè tí mo bi ẹnìkejì mi ni wípé fún àwọn landlord kò yẹ kán gbàyàn sílé tayọ̀tayọ̀ kó wá dìgbà tí wọ́n fẹ́ lé kán ṣe máa tún náwó court, kán máa náwó ilé ẹjọ́, kán máa nára. Wọ́n á sọ pé fún ẹ̀yin landlord tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá fẹ́ náwó, tẹ́ ẹ̀ fẹ́ nára, tẹ́ ẹ̀ fẹ́ dààmú ara yín, ẹ gba lọ́ọ̀yà tẹ́ bá ti fẹ́ gbàyàn sílé. Ẹ wá jẹ́ kí lọ́ọ̀yà yín kọ sínú agreement pé ọjọ́ tá a bá ti fẹ́ lé ẹni kúrò nílé o, ní nídà ti fún ní 6 months. Tó bá ti lè tọwọ́ bọ̀wé yẹn, òfin recognize ẹ̀ pé you will not be given 6 months notice. I think that's a very interesting one. There's another angle I would like Barrister Han to answer. Okay. There's a question that is popping in my mind. Okay. Why do you think the law protects all these tenants so much? For instance, when you want to take a tenant into your house, all you need is just pay me maybe 10,000 naira, then move into the house. But now for you to pursue the same tenant out of your house, now you need to serve him 6 months notice, 7 days notice of owner's intention to recover possession, and again you need to go to court. So why is it so difficult for landlords to get justice?
Well, that's not true. The law actually protects the landlord and also the tenants as well. The landlord has rights. They also have their own rights, so as the tenants. Because in terms of the tenants leaving, maybe he or she did not pay his or her rent, and the courts, they need to evict the person. The court is also there to do so. So they are also protecting the landlord. The landlord also has their own right as well.
So you feel like the tenants are not overly protected?
The tenants are protected, so as the landlord are also
Who is
protected.
more protected?
Well, I wouldn't tell you.
By
who is more
who is more
protected.
protected under the law?
I think for me, I would say both parties are both protected
Equally?
Yes, because in a situation whereby at the end of the day, when the matters goes to court, the fact that the tenant has been staying on your side for months and not paying, the court will still calculate all those, the extra months the tenant has stayed. They call it men's profit. Do you understand? So those profits, those calculations, at the end of the day, it goes back to the landlord, because the court will still protect the landlord. What the law is trying to do is to ensure that there's no violence and there's no bloodshed. Do you understand? So that everybody will be protected. And by the time a landlord wants to rent out a property, you have the right to make agreements. This thing they are called rules and regulations. They are covenants that you input into your tenancy agreement that protects the landlord. Do you understand? So as the smart landlord, that's why I said you must have a lawyer in your corner. Do you understand? Your lawyer be the one advise you on your rights, on the covenants you can input in the agreements that will help you. Do you understand?
Very well.
So I believe both parties are
equally protected.
Yes.
Although, in my own candid opinion, let me be frank, I believe tenants are even more protected. Tenants are more protected, and a lot of them get it wrong. Like few months ago, I had a tenant. I gave him 6 months quit notice, and at the expiration of the 6 months, you know what he told me? He told me that according to the law, for those 6 months which I gave him notice, he is not entitled to pay. Those 6 months were to be free. So I laughed and I said, where did you study your own law? So he believes that once they give you quit notice, any amount of days that you spend in that house subsequently is to be free. So it is not free.
And I would like to come in. I think people make the mistake that I think we need to let them know when you will be issued this notice. Some might think maybe it's at the expiration of your yearly tenancy. No, it is before. Okay, let's say what's it called? You are a yearly tenant. The landlord will give a 6 month, like that's a 6 months prior notice. You can't 6 months back. Do you understand? So it is because when the notice wants to expire, it expires at the end of your yearly tenancy. When you do the calculation, that's when it expires. Do you understand? So
Very well.
it's important for landlords and tenants to
Okay, in addition to what my colleague have said, I think this scenario happened I think last year, and I had a friend who said that she's actually a tenant. So she actually told me that there is that's her landlord issued her 6 months notice to quit. So in that way, she's very, very glad that she's not going to pay 1 naira to the landlord. And I said, where does that one happen? So she said, that's am I not aware that that's what is always happening everywhere now?
Wow.
That I said, wow, who said that?
See,
is that what the law says?
Even apart
And-
from the men's profits that Lawyer Indamola mentioned, which you are also trying to substantiate, there's additional provision in tenancy law that when a landlord drags a tenant to court, you can also pray for the cost of the case. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It can be a kind of third or fourth leg of your prayer. Fún àǹfààní àwọn tó ń gbọ́ Yorùbá, nǹkan tá à ń sọ ni wípé ìwọ landlord tó bá yẹ pé tenant ẹ pin ẹlẹ́mìí títí tó fi wá wọ́ lọ sí court, owó tó san fún lọ́ọ̀yà gẹ́gẹ́ bí landlord, tenant ẹ ó tún gbúdọ̀ san. Nǹkan tí lọ́ọ̀yà lè béèrè ní court nìyẹn pé ọ̀rọ̀ yìí kò nídìí kó délé ẹjọ́, ẹni yìí ó fún ẹ̀mí mi pín, ó tì mí kan ògiri, òun ló jẹ́ kí n gbé wá sílé ẹjọ́. So owó tí mo fi wá tún wá gbé wá, adájọ́ tún máa pàṣẹ wípé kó san. So òun náà la ṣe ń gba àwa tá a jẹ́ tenant nímọ̀ràn, tó nílé bá gbélé fún wa, kò nídìí ká pín lẹ́mìí kó tó di pa jáde nílé. Ọlọ́run kúkú kọ́lé ayọ̀ fún oníkálukú. Ní time tá a bá ṣì manage tá a ṣì ń gbé káàkiri, ẹ jẹ́ ká try láti ṣe dáadáa. Tó nílé bá sọ pé àwọn fẹ́ lo ilé àwọn, ẹ kó kúrò ń bẹ́ẹ̀, kò kúkú ń ṣe lé bàbá ẹnìkankan. So ó tún wá ní ìbéèrè kan tó ṣe pàtàkì tí mo tún fẹ́ béèrè. wọ́n láwọn landlord kan wà àbúrò mi kan tiẹ̀ ló sọ fún mi ó ní landlord ó wá síìsì generator òun ó síìsì generator àti tẹlifíṣàn ó ní pé toró ń jẹ owó ilé èmi wá ní pé tí a bá ti dórí ètò a lè mọ̀ bóyá nǹkan tí landlord yìí ṣe bóyá ó bójú mu lọ́yọ̀ Oyindàmọ́lá ṣe fẹ́ bá a tàn mọ́lẹ̀ sí.
ok ẹ ṣe ó tó mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ká mọ̀ ni pé landlord kò ní ẹ̀tọ́ láti wá sọ pé òun fẹ́ gbé ẹrù ẹni tó yálé lọ́wọ́ òun tó yóò jẹun lówó and then in that situation sef tó bá fi ṣe nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ court ló máa rán èèyàn ẹni tó nílé fún ẹrù ní ẹ̀tọ́ láti sọ pé òun fẹ́ lọ gbé ẹrù yẹn so there is something they call distress for it, the court process whereby you apply to court for an order so when the court grants that order then they will send a court officer to go and carry out such not the landlord kì í ṣe ẹni tó nílé fún ẹ lọ́mọdé pé òun fẹ́ lọ gbé ẹrù rẹ̀ kúrò nílé so it is a court officer that will come down to do that so that's it.
Yeah, thank you. On the other way around, let's talk about some very very stubborn tenants. Lawyer Ann, we have situations where some tenants also believe that they have the right to punish their landlords. So, for instance, there was a man who told me he did not pay his rent. Why? Because the landlord promised them he was going to fix pipe-borne water. But unfortunately, he did well water for them. So they were like, he did not follow the agreement. The agreement was, you are going to provide pipe-borne water with pumping machine for us. But since he could not do it, the tenant said, okay, they will also not pay the rent. So are the tenants' rights to withhold the payment of rent?
Well, like they'll say, two wrongs can make a right. The tenant is actually wrong to hold his or her rent because the tenants, when so in such situation now, what the tenant has to do is you pay your rent, then you write a complaint to your lawyer for them to take the matter to court so that they can be able to use the portion of the rent to maybe that's to pay for maybe if you actually used your money to pay for maybe the borehole or something.
The problem with this court approach now, Lawyer Oyindàmọ́lá, is that imagine a landlord had given me their house, I'm a tenant, and now because the landlord failed or refused to do something, I drag my landlord to court. After the court, what happens? Will it not breed hatred in the society?
No, I don't think that situation will cause hatred because at the end of the day, it's just you still knowing your. That I tell people like you have to know your rights. Do you understand? If you know your rights, it's easy for you to go approach, do the right thing. Do you understand? I have people that will advise. Okay, if you say that someone what's it called decides not to pay rent or because of a tap that is broken or court type because so all those kind of things when you approach the court or when you know the right thing to do, it's just you still trying to fight for your right, and I believe in that situation it should not cause hatred. Do we understand? All
right, thank you very much, Oyindàmọ́lá. Let's take a minute to rest while we come back to our people very soon. Stay with us. I think we do have a call. Good afternoon, the caller. Hello, good afternoon, the caller.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
There's a background noise.
Yes, this is Ibrahim calling from Iwo Road.
Mr. Ibrahim, good afternoon. Hope you are good.
Yes, I recently joined your program now, Oxygen 99.9 FM.
96.9,
I have
thank
some
you.
questions to ask about tenants.
Okay, Mr. Ibrahim, go ahead.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Okay. So my question is. Tenant and landlord.
Mm-hmm.
Is a situation whereby landlord just increase rent after some months of. Hello, please, are you with me?
Very well. You are talking about increment of rent.
Yes. Whereby situation whereby landlord will just suddenly increase rent without prior notice. There will be increment.
There will be changes in the amount. Okay. Thank you very much.
I don't know if you get my point.
I understand your question. Mr. Ibrahim is
Yeah.
trying to ask that
Yes.
there are some landlords without prior notice to the tenants, they will just arbitrarily change the rent. Maybe
Yes,
you were
because
paying 600,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Ibi tí mo rent.
Mm.
Now, kò sí development kankan ní ilé yẹn. Kò sí
Mm.
after a year tí mo ti lò ń bẹ̀ yẹn. The second year, the landlord ó ní pé from 150 ó ti di 200 báyìí o. Like all of a sudden.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. We have lawyers here that will answer your question. So let me break down his question. Thank you very much, Mr. Ibrahim. He said
Okay.
there was
Okay,
a
sir,
property he lived in, and that in that property the initial amount was 150,000 naira.
Okay.
Then about at the expiration of that tenancy period, when he wanted to renew, landlord now told him that, oh no, you are not bringing 150k to me, it is now 250k without prior
Without the prior
notice. Yeah, so who want to give us clarity on that?
Well, it's actually wrong for the landlords to just wake up one morning and increase the rent without prior notice, because he has to place the tenant on notice for the tenant to prepare his or her mind if he or she can pay the money and negotiate. And if probably they are unable to maybe resolve the issue, then I think the best thing to do is to go with arbitration.
Thank you. Barrister Oyindamla, do you want to provide some clarity on that?
Okay, thank you. I would like to say that earlier I mentioned covenants. Do you understand? Because at the point whereby you are bringing in a tenant to rent your property, you have to let the tenants, there are some, it's possible I increase, you know, there are covenants covenant has to rent. Do you understand? Because it's possible you increase your rent. All those kind of things will be included in your agreement. You cannot just come one day and tell the tenants that even if it's a month at the end of you cannot just come. Do you understand? So because you let the tenants know that okay, and when you increase the rent, you have to state the reasons why you're increasing the rent. Okay, because of the cost of electricity or maybe cost of what's it called, the light and all that. So you let them know that
it has to be due to a specific reason, not arbitrary.
Yes, it must not be arbitrary. You must let them know, be explicit about the reason why you are increasing the rent.
Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ẹ̀yin onílé wa kò gbọ́ ẹnu mi bọ̀ àwọn tẹ́nàntì yín àwọn náà sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ o, wọ́n sọ wípé ìwà yìí ó ba ẹ̀yin onílé jẹ́. Wọ́n ní pé tẹ́ bá gbélé fáwọn ní iye kan, bóyá wọ́n gbalé lọ́dún yìí ní 1 million. Tó bá di ìparí ọdún, ní sọ fún wọn wípé ẹ ti fẹ́ fi kún owó ọdún. Ọjọ́ tí wọ́n bá wá kó owó wá, báwọn fẹ́ san owó tuntun lẹ́sẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa sọ fún wọn pé owó ilé ti yàtọ̀, kò gba 1 million mọ́, ó ti di 1,200,000. Wọ́n á sọ bó lẹ ti fẹ́ kí wọ́n rí, tọ́lẹ̀ yẹ pé àwọn wọn ò ní gbáradì láti san owó bẹ́ẹ̀. Kò dẹ̀ tún dáa, kò tọ̀nà lábẹ́ òfin fún irú ayálégbé tó bá ń witness irú nǹkan tí Mr. Ibrahim sọ yìí. Onílé yín kò lè dédé sọ pé owó ilé ti di báyìí láì sọ fún yín tẹ́lẹ̀. Ó ní láti fún yín ní notice, à ń pè nǹkan kan ní notice. Ó ní láti jẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ mọ̀. In fact, ó gbọ́dọ̀ ti sọ fún yín bóyá bíi 3 months 6 months okay, owó ilé máa yàtọ̀ o. Ẹ mọ̀ pé epo tí wọ́n sí o. Ẹ wo bí gbòòrò ṣe lé o. Kò ń ṣe ọjọ́ tẹ́ bá fẹ́ sanwó ló yẹ kán ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa sọ fún yín pé owó ti yàtọ̀. Àmọ́ tán bá wá ṣerú ẹ̀, kí ni best thing tí irú tenant bẹ́ẹ̀ lè ṣe ká tó máa lọ Oyindamla?
Okay, nírú gbà yẹn tenant yẹn lè wá decide pé bóyá òun fẹ́ continue àti máa gbé nílé yẹn àbí òun fẹ́ terminate tenancy agreement. Do we understand? So it's possible I just okay fine, I'm not okay with this rent. So you now have the choice whether you want to keep being a tenant in that property or you want to terminate your tenancy with the landlord.
Thank you, lawyer Oyindamola and lawyer, and I'm very sure our people have learnt a lot from us today. And as a landlord and as a tenant, my departing words are for both of us. As landlords, you don't have absolute rights over your house. The moment you take that tenancy money, the tenant also has some rights. In fact, you cannot enter that property, like we said, without the consent of the tenant. And also as a tenant, don't now say because lawyers have already said you have rights, you have power after paying your rent, you now think you become lord over your landlord. No. There's a reason why the law used the words land and lord. He's still the lord over the property. So let us learn to live in peace. Let us learn to live in unity. Pay your rent as at when due. And for landlords, no arbitrary increment in rent. Until next week, I remain Darasimi Okpefetimi, the host of your favorite legal hour on Oxygen 96.9 FM. Thank you very much for joining us.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, our listeners. I hope we've been able to pick one or two lessons from this show. And I will also want to advise our tenants that when you want to rent an apartment, always learn to sign an agreement. And also I would also want to advise our landlords, learn how to get your agreement paper as well for your tenants to sign, because without your agreement paper, if you don't put them into writing, then after that, if maybe and if there's any problem thereabouts, that means the law will definitely come up with their own instead of using their own agreements.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I would just like to say to the landlords that you should not let anger turn you to a trespasser in your own property. Do we understand? So we have to calm down. It is important to do things the right way, and as tenants to please pay your rent. If there's an agreement in your tenancy agreements with the landlord, make sure you follow the agreement, make sure you follow the covenants, do things the right way in order to avoid issues. Thank you very much. I am Oyin Damola.
Thank you very much. I remain Barrister Anne.